Alright, day 4 on that thing. We're bundled up again. It's cold. But we got the heater going, so hopefully it warms up a little bit. So today's plan of attack is get the engine out and get the coolant storage radiator thingy mabob out. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, get that out. Basically have everything out of that sled and then get it downstairs because tomorrow is going to be really, really cold.
Are you cold, Karen?
So that's the plan. Let's get started. Alright, and this thing has fluid in it, about half full. And so I think, you know, the other half leaked out down there somehow. But the plan of attack here, I think, is then get this hose disconnected up here, get this thing loose, and then kind of pull this hose off and kind of plug that with my hand and try to get this out real quick and not spill, you know, 2 cups worth of radiator fluid onto the floor. But it won't be the worst thing in the world if that happens. I hope the EPA is not watching. Stupid thing off. It's on there tight, man. Oh man. Oh, they're moved. Ah. Wow. That was non-trivial. Alright. Well, that didn't work. I took the hose off there and it all drained out, but luckily I was smart enough to put a little catch bin down there. We'll dump it.
How dare you!
I'm sorry, we'll completely recycle it in an environmentally friendly way. Right? Anyway, I gotta get these, to get this thing out, I gotta take these 2 bolts off, or those nuts off, and get myself some room underneath there because one of those engine mount bolts is underneath there, so that's got to come off, and then I think we're ready to get at the engine. And working on a John Deere, it's a weird combination of American, you know, sockets and metric, or SAE and metric.
You can't have it both ways here.
So it's like an identity crisis inside the engine here. But that's right. More tools. Alright, and that's what it looks like. This bracket just slides down and out of those bolts. And so I can leave those bolts in there for now anyway, and get my first look down here. The oil's leaking. The good news is the steering mechanism is going to be really well lubricated, and I'll be able to get at that engine bolt a lot easier. I guess I didn't have to take that off to get at that engine bolt. I don't see anything that's... Now let's just pull the engine. Make sure I got nothing else connected here. This is connected. What is this thing? That looks like a coolant indicator do-jobby thingy.
What did you just say?
Alright. Oh, and I gotta take that belt off, I guess. Next belt. And check this out. This belt cover is held on by 2 7/16 inch bolts, because apparently John Deere thinks that the thing that you want to do when you're changing a belt on the trail is be sitting there with bare hands in 5-degree weather trying to wrench on this. And there's actually 2 bolts down here that are missing. I don't know where they go, but we'll throw them over here they can go in that bin, and we'll label that so we don't lose them. And here we go, folks. This is the direct drive clutch that they used in this. Oh, and for those of you that are wondering, no, the engine's not stuck. So, it wasn't cursed from my son. But, I do got to figure out how to get this off. And that is wedged in there pretty tight, so I don't know. I'll just reef on it a little bit and see what happens. Okay, a significant amount of time has elapsed, and I still don't have the stupid belt off. There must be a trick, but I think this is locked up tight. I can't get this to move at all. So I think these are kind of bound together. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is, there's 4 bolts holding this. I'll take these bolts off, or these nuts off, and then hopefully they'll loosen this up. I can slide it back, and they'll give me enough room to get this off, and then I can work on this separately. So that's the plan now.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Alright, little update here. So I got those 2 bolts off. I didn't need to take this wire off because all those wires are connected here. This is mounted on the engine, which is an interesting thing. Anyway, so I'll just have to disconnect over here, this main plug over here, leave that all connected on the engine, and I got to get the hose off. And then oh yeah, the recoil, gotta do the recoil. So I got that hose disconnected here, but the oiler is still connected. Hold that all the way open, Steve. My assistant who has strep throat is out here now. I gotta get that screw out so I can disconnect that oiler. And I'm just taking a video because I'll never remember where that screw went, but it's in the farthest one away. Alright. Alright, so the plan is I'm going to loosen this up and try to pull this out of there. And this is a 10mm because John Deere likes to make you switch between the two. It's really weird how they do that. Okay, why is that in there? I guess I gotta do some more. Alright, this is 2 hands. Alright, so the final verdict was this thing was screwed on. We take that screw off. We leave these nuts on because this little slot there that I thought that bolt would come through, it won't come through. And then you hold the throttle, give it enough slack, and then you can slide this out of the little slot in the oiler there. Alright, so that's disconnected, the hose is disconnected. I'm going to do this electrical thing. Let's see if that slides out. There, that's disconnected. That was easy. And then 2 more bolts and we can pull the engine, I think. Alright, let's see what we're up against here. This was kind of unpleasant. So, this is where that mount is. It was well lubricated. The cable holder for the lights is there. There's a washer. And you have to have another wrench down here. There's just a bolt going through. So it's not like seated or anything. You gotta have wrenches top and bottom to get at that. But we should be okay. And that rubber grommet thing, I'm not sure if those are attached or not. I couldn't get the other ones off, so I don't know how that works. I assume that they just pop off, but we'll see with that. That's going to be a pain. That's going to be a real pain. I got to pull this wire all the way through somehow. What the heck?
Oh, this crap.
I'm not sure how that's going to work. See, this wire goes in here and comes out up there underneath the engine. I don't know that that's the original route for that, but I'll check on the manual. But I'm going to have to pull this wire through underneath the engine, and I don't think there's room for that wire to go through underneath the engine. Dang it all. Comes out right up here. Well, we'll figure it out. Alright, so I got that last nut off, so the engine's loose. And here's where that wire comes through right here. So I think the trick is there's plenty of wire here. So you kind of crack the engine and tilt it this way, or you kind of lean it forward, and then take the engine off the mount while it's down there. So, and then once the engine is off the mount, obviously you can take this wire, because there isn't room. This isn't big enough here to get those connectors through. So that's the only way I can think of they did it, is you just get the engine off and then take the mount off the engine while it's still in the snowmobile here. So that's what I'm going to try. And all of this so I can get, you know, the engine to come this way just a little bit so I can get that belt off, because this is locked up down here. So one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. But we're going to try to get that engine out. Forgot the recoil, so I'll cut that and tie a knot off there. And not that anybody cares, but this is how I do it. You just pull up a bunch of rope and just do an overhand knot, and then you get this nice thing. And that way it won't go in when you cut it and you accidentally let loose of it. Anyway, so that's what I do. And this is also a neat way to make a little loop that never comes out. So just a simple overhand knot. Alright, now I'm going to cut this and away we go. Well, that didn't work. So with the proper application of force, I jacked the back of this thing up and just reefed on it. I was able to get the belt off. So now in theory, the engine is free. But man, this thing was jammed up tight. But now it's not. So I think just a little bit of WD-40 down there in the spring is all it needed. Alright, that was non-trivial. Holy smokes. So these bolts, they come up through the bottom, have to come out of there, go all the way down so that this thing can slide forward. And this one was had some kind of something on it that was preventing it from getting down there. But look at all this junk down here.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
So we can get a good look at what I thought was an oil leak. And for the first time here, figure out where that's coming from. Boy, it looks like it blew it right out the muffler or something. And that's got me wondering here. And I'm wondering if... I did talk to the guy who did the crank seals. He said that was about 5 years ago. I'm wondering if this just leaked all over the place and he fixed it. That would... But he left this looking like this. I don't know why that would be... why you'd leave that. There is a ton of oil, and I can't imagine where that's coming from. Unless his seam here leaks somewhere. So the only thing I can do is take this bottom plate off, finish pulling the engine, clean it up, and check everything over. I'm not sure what else to do. So I'll see if there's anything obvious, but we'll just finish pulling it out. And these are on there, man. I got to get some longer lever action to get those bolts off. I don't think they're on the spec. But they're not coming off. There. Got them broken free. Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum to put it on, and I shall move the world, right?
That's beautiful, man.
That's pretty deep for snowmobile crap. Alright, I'm going to pull these off. Alright, well, remember that little red thing that I said we didn't have to disconnect? We got to disconnect it. And then there's these two wires right here that are connected to this ground. They go up here. I think that's a ground. So those got to be disconnected. I got it loose already. I'm taking a video of this because I will forget where those wires go. I'll be like, now where do those wires go? And importantly, they got to be connected before you put the engine in. And I'm just putting that bolt back in there so I don't lose it. So, note to future self, these wires got to be connected before the engine goes in, because you can't really get at that once the engine's in. I suppose you can if you're a mouse, but I'm not. Alright, so that should do it, and I think we'll be able to pull the engine. Let's see. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if I offended you by calling you ladies and gentlemen. We got the engine out, but look at all that junk. So I'm going to reach out to the guy who had it before the guy who sold it to me. He said he did the cranks. I'm wondering if all this junk is from when the crank seal blew the last time. This is just old oil, because, you know, there's all kinds of pine needles and junk accumulated in there too. So it could just be leftover misery. But I started cleaning some up. Here's our engine mount. Yeah, that was just caked full. And then I'll clean these up. This is the engine. It is a Kawasaki Heavy Industries, there we go, 340 EB202. These are the engines they started making just before Kawasaki came into the market. There's my clutch. That's interesting. Somebody was reefing on that with a screwdriver, and it wasn't me. And all my parts that we have to go over. It is 1 below 0 right now outside, so the cold weather is here. I've got 6 days to go. It's the end of day 4. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, but we're close. We'll see. Alright, wrap up. That's years of neglect, not just an oil leak. Or years of accumulation, not really neglect, I guess. But I'm going to leave that for another day, because dinner's ready, and I'm hungry, and it's cold now. So have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.